going to make a collaboration with Bentley House Miniature. So I'm going to make a toy train for her Adam's family house, and Ara will then age it and make it look really old and used. But first of all, I'm going to make the train, and for that I am going to take my petticoat color scale and I take a piece of white clay in the one says I, and a piece of caramel in F, and a piece of yellow in the D, and this way I have my bread colored clay, and that is also a very light brown, what is good for making this toy train. I have my bread colored clay here and I rolled it out on a setting 5 on my pasta machine. And then I have this set of, actually this is leather tools, and I like these because they're very small and so on. So I'm going to take that little thing here because that have the perfect size for the cars for my train. So I'm going to take that, and I'm going to take my Maxit measuring thing, and I'm choosing the 5mm because that's how tall I want the sides on the train cars. So I'm taking that one and squeezing into my clay like that. So now I'm just going to take my blade and I'm just going to cut straight lines right here where the marks are, and I am cutting off the end here so it's nice and sharp. Placing that and wrapping this around this cutter. You can use anything you have if it has the right size to your train course. And I'm going to do that with all of these, making sure they're good connected on the side where they're connecting, and trying to make the connection invisible. So I baked these and I'm just carefully taking them off, and I rolled out a piece of clay the same color as before in a setting 4. First of all, I am going to cut out a piece for the front train, and I want that just as big as the back cars here. So I'm just placing one of these and cutting really tight to it. So that should be for the front of the train. Now I need for these 3 cars as well. So I'm going to place this here. Actually I'm going to take some of my bacon bond. I like this side better, so I'm putting bacon bond on the side I don't like, so that I have the nicest side up. And placing this little thing, cutting out the bottom and the corners here, and you can see here that they are not that good connected, so I'm just going to do that. So I'm just still using my finger to slide the edge, and I'm going to do that with the other 2 cars. I have the piece for the train itself, and I have the 3 cars for it, and I'm just turning them around. I baked these parts and I rolled out this piece of clay in a setting 8 on my pasta machine. It's the same color as these cars, and I turned them upside down. Now I'm going to cut off some of this here so I have a nice clean edge. Taking this is a piece of an eye pin that I have where I use the eye for something, and I am wrapping this eye pin in the clay. Then I'm going to take my Bic and Bond and I'm going to put a little here and a little here, and I'm going to place these and I'm going to do that with both of them and actually also on this one. Sometimes when you're working on a project, you're finding some funny small things that you like. I have this eyeshadow brush thing that I got very cheap in a store here in Denmark, and it have a nice pattern I didn't know. And when I am going to cut out the train's wheels, I am making sure that it is in the bottom of this one, and then I'm just pushing it into my clay and using this to get it out. And what happened is I got this little shape on my wheels, and I really like this, so I'm going to do that on all my cars to give it a little of texture just because I can. And then I need the train itself, and that's a piece of that's a square of the red colored clay. So I'm going to try to make a square, and that is a tiny bit smaller than the stand or the bottom here. So I'm trying to cut this so that I have the size that I need. So when I have the square, I'm going to squeeze it a bit to round off the corners a little, not too much. Then I rolled out some yellow clay in our setting 4, and I'm going to take this little thing and place it on there, and I'm going to cut out around this little square, but giving it a little air on each side of the square. So I'm going to take my Bic and Bond, and on the end with the eye, I am going to place some of my Bic and Bond like that, taking this little thing and placing it on top. And I'm going to push it all the way back so it looks like this right now. I am also taking some black clay, and first I'm rolling it into a ball, and then I am slowly rolling it into a cone thing. And I want it to be really thin at the bottom here, and then go up and be thick. And then I'm going to bake this with the other things that we just made. So we have this. So I am going to roll out a snake here for the front of the train, something like that. And then I'm going to take this thing and I'm going to cut the lower part of it. And I am going to cut off the top part here as well, so that I'm left with this shape for the chimney. And I'm going to take my needle tool here and poke a hole in there, making it big enough for my chimney. It is. So I'm going to take a tiny bit of my Bic and Bond and put that here on the tiny spot of the chimney. And I'm going to place my chimney into this blue lock for the train. Taking my blade, cutting off what I need for the front piece of the train. Taking this part and putting some Bic and Bond where I have the blue thing here to go. So a little on the house and a little out on the front. Placing this part. So now it's time for the wheels, and for them I have this tiny nail art drill, and I'm going to take them one by one, find the middle of these, and then drill the hole through them. So my train looks like this now, and the car like this, the cars. And I have all my wheels right here. Just doing some of them out. Taking one of these eye pins without the eye, and I am going to place it through one of the wheels. So I have the wheel on the pin, placing it through this thing on the car, taking the next wheel and placing it. And if the pin is a little too long, just squeeze the wheels together, and you can see there is a tiny bit of pin right there, and I'm cutting that down as good as I can, and then just taking the wheel and push it up, pulling it out again. This way they're sitting really nice and tight without touching the car anyway. I'm going to do this with all my wagons and my train here, and then the train itself is almost done, and we are ready for the building blocks to put into the train. So I'm going to make some of the building blocks for these small cars here. And first of all, I rolled out a piece of clay in a setting 2, and I'm just going to place it double here. So I have 2 bricks looking like this. Then I'm going to make one of those cylinders, or what you call that. So I'm going to roll my clay in a snake, and I like it to be in the same height as this brick. And I'm just going to correct the shape of this a little, and I'm going to make a few more of these. Roll it through my pasta machine on a setting 2, and placing it double, squeezing it a bit together. And I'm going to make a few more of these in red and blue, maybe a green. So I have all the cars together with all the wheels on, and I have all the blocks right here. Let's put them down here so you can see them. Now I only need to put a pull string on, and for that I have this piece of thread that I braided myself, and I'm going to make a loop in one end here. See if I can make it. There we go, a tiny loop. And I'm going to take my fast glue here and just place a tiny drop on that extra string. Let that dry, making sure I know how long I want the string, and I'm going to place a tiny drop of my fast glue right there also. Let that dry for a few seconds. Then I'm going to take the string and cut it off right there, and the glue, make sure that it's not running. Then I'm going to find my glued piece here and cut it off. I turned around my cars here so I have the bottom piece, and I'm going to take some glue right there for the string, the pull string, making sure it is good into the glue. Then I have this bigger sewing thread, and I'm going to cut 3 pieces out of that here, just 3 small ones, because I'm going to cut a little of it later anyway. So I have the car. I took some of my glue, place it here, taking this thread and place it good into the glue, making sure it really grips the glue. And none of these glues will catch it so good that it is going to stay if you rip too hard on the parts when it's dry. So just be aware of that. And I'm doing this on all 3 cars. So they have dried, and what I'm going to do is that I'm going to cut off a tiny piece, so it's only a tiny piece on the cars, and I'm going to glue them together. So I'm going to put a little glue here, taking this car and placing the string in the glue, and then of course on the train itself, and the string into the glue. And now I just need to let it all dry, and then it's all done. So now the train is all done, and I can place some of these bricks things into the cars. Then you could glue some of these together into some kind of a building setup thing, so it looks like they're being used. Maybe Wednesday have been building something. If I was to keep this one, I would glaze the cars and the small wagons here, so it would look nice and shiny, because I like it nice and shiny. But this is a project for Ara to age, so it will look cool in her Addams Family house. I enjoyed making this little train, and I'm looking forward to see what Ara is doing with it, to see how it's going to turn out before it's all done. And I'm pretty sure it's going to be amazing. So please do go and watch her video. You will find the link in the end of this video and in the comments below for that. So please do go and look, and she have this amazing channel where she is making miniature and aging them so they look old and worn, and well, she's just very good at this. So please do go and visit her channel as well, and go look at what she's doing with this little train. So happy crafting for this, and I hope you will enjoy her part of it as well. So thank you for watching, and happy crafting.